This video will teach you how to find the slope given a graph. The slope of a line tells you how steep the line is and by how much a line will rise or fall. So a line that rises from the left to the right will go up. So that's an example of a line that rises, and one that falls has a negative slope, and from the left to the right it's going down. Now, just like in formulas, we can have a variable represent like A for area or B for the base. Well, we have the letter M that stands for slope in a formula. So just wanted to have us see that now. We're going to use that more later. So let's talk about how we're allowed to write our answers for slope when we get them. When you're writing your slope, make sure that you always have your slope simplified. And if you get a fraction answer, leave it as a simplified fraction. And if you get an integer answer, or a number that can be changed into an integer, you're going to leave it as an integer. So what that means is, if you solved for the slope and you got 5/10, instead of leaving it as 5/10, you're going to simplify it and write it as 1/2. If you get something like 9/6, you're going to simplify it and write your slope as 3/2. You are not going to write it as a decimal, and you're not going to write it as 1 and 1/2. So don't leave your slope as decimals or mixed numbers. So that's what we wrote right here. No decimals or mixed numbers. Now, if we got for our slope 4/2, we would write it as an integer. That's what we said here. So instead of 4/2, we would put 2 as our slope. If we got 6/3, we would put 2 as our slope. If we got 9/1 as our slope, we would put 9. So no decimals and no mixed numbers. Okay, first let's talk about how to tell if the slope of the line is negative or positive. So you're going to look at the line from the left side to the right side. Okay, so when we think about whether the slope is negative or positive, it might help you to think of someone snowboarding and they can only go from the left side to the right side. So if we look at our first graph here, if the snowboarder can only go from the left to the right, he would be going downward. So that would mean this has a negative slope. So from the left to the right, this would be going upward, so it has a positive slope. Now here, it is a horizontal line here. So if the snowboarder is going from the left to the right, he's just cruising along and just walking on the snow, everything's okay. So that helps me remember a slope of 0 because he's happy, everything's okay, he's just walking along on the snow. But if we take a look at this last example here we have a vertical line, and we're going to run into some trouble here with this snowboarder. He's going to hit the snow. Here's the ground. He hits the ground, goes under the snow. That's where the negatives are here. He's going to go into the snow, and then he's never going to be found. And that's how I remember that little story. Helps me remember that this one is undefined, because the word undefined, he's going to be under the snow. So the word undefined almost has the word under. And then the other thing that helps me is that the word undefined has it sounds like found. He's not going to be found. Undefined. He's not going to be found. Okay, so then the next part here, now we talked about how to tell if the slope is negative, positive, 0, or undefined. Now we're going to talk about how do we actually get the number. Is it positive 5? Is it negative 3/2? How do we get that? So to help us do that, we're going to pick 2 points on the line that intersect at a perfect corner. In other words, you could read me the ordered pair if I asked you. And then you're going to use rise over run as a mnemonic to help you remember the direction you need to go. And rise is the change vertically, either how much we go up or how much we go down. And then our run is the movement from the left to the right. It's our horizontal change. So let's go ahead and take a look at this first graph right here and talk about what our slope is, negative what. So that's what we're going to talk about here. So we know that because the snowboarder, again, is going downwards, that the slope is negative. And then what we would do is we would pick 2 points. So I'm going to pick this one here and this one here. And then we're going to find out how much rise and our run is. So I'm going to start with this bottom point, and I would have to rise 1, 2, 3. And then I have to run once. 3 divided by 1 is equal to 3. And the slope is negative because the snowboarder would be going down. So negative 3. If we take a look at this example here, the snowboarder from the left to the right would be going up. And so now we pick 2 points on the line. So I'm going to pick this one here and this one here. And the rise would be 1, 2, 3, 4. And the run would be 1. So 4 divided by 1 is 4. And it would be positive because the snowboarder would be going up the hill. So we would have the slope is positive 4. Here we have our horizontal line, and if we're thinking about the snowboarder, he's just walking around on the snow. Everything's happy, everything's okay, he's okay. That's a slope of 0. Now, if we use rise over run to back our answer up, if I pick 2 points, I don't need a rise to get to this point here. So I have 0. And then I have to run over 1, 2, 3, 4. And anything divided by 0 divided by any number is 0. So our slope is 0. 0 divided by 4 is 0. Now, if we have our vertical line, this is where the problem starts. Right here, he's going to hit the snow, go under the snow, and never be found. That helps me remember that story. Undefined slope. Now, mathematically, we can back that up. Because rise over run, if we pick 2 points, we would have to rise 1, 2, 3, and run nothing. And we've learned in this class, when we have a 0 in the denominator, it's under the line, it's undefined. So several different ways to think about it and back up our answer. Now, I also want you to notice, if we go back to the first example here, the slope was negative 3. Now, check out this number in front of our equation in our equation, because we're going to use that later on here. So the number in front of this x happened to be this negative 3. Over here, the number in front of the x was 4, and notice what our slope was. Here we had y equals a number. There was no x. The slope was 0, and there was a y in our equation. Here, the equation has an x, and you will notice that the slope is undefined. So again, keep that in mind. Now, let's summarize something here that we should be seeing. This line here has a slope of 10. If I pick 2 points here, and I rise 10 and run over 1, we get a slope of 10. This is an undefined slope right here, and notice that this is a high number, and because the slope is the rise over the run is a high value, it resembles the line of a vertical line. This line right here is getting very close to being vertical because the slope is high. Now, if we take a look at this one, if we rise 1 and then we run 10, we get 1/10. And 1/10 is a small number. It's 0.1 as a decimal. So this line right here is very flat. It almost looks like a horizontal line. And the horizontal line has a slope of 0. And 1/10 is very close to 0. So these lines here resemble each other. They're closer to looking like each other because they're small slopes. So the closer the slope is to 0, the less steep it is. It's more flat. So how could we use this? When we're building stuff, okay, this slope right here, this is hard. This would be hard to climb right here. That's very difficult. It's very steep, these stairs here. Now, when we're building a wheelchair ramp here, notice that this wouldn't be as difficult to push somebody up this ramp. Imagine having to push somebody up this with a wheelchair. That would be very steep and difficult. And notice that this one here has a slope that is closer to 0 compared to this one. So the closer the slope, the rise or the run is to 0, the less steep it's going to be. So use that when we get into graphing to help you make sense and make sure that what you're doing makes sense and follows what we're seeing here. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to pick 2 points, and we want to pick 2 that we can read the ordered pair for that point clearly. So we wouldn't want to pick like this point right here because it does not go through a corner of the square. So I would pick like that point, and I could pick like that point. And then once I've picked my 2 points, I'm going to rise. So rise means how much am I going up or going down. So I'm going to go ahead and pick this point as my starting point. And this is my end. So to get from the start to the end, I have to rise 1. And then I have to go left 1, 2. And so my slope so far is 1/2, and nothing can divide into both of those. And then we need to think about the snowboarder. If the snowboarder can only go from the left to the right side, he'd be going down. So because it'd be going down, the slope would be -1/2. Now I'm going to go ahead and do this problem again, but I'm going to go ahead and pick 2 different points, just so you could see that it should result in the same answer in the end. So let's say I pick this point, and let's say I pick this point right here, okay, because you can pick any 2 points. So if I start here, I have to rise 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have to rise 5, and then I have to run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And if we simplify our slope, we would get 1/2 as well. So, and it's -1/2 because it's going down. So the point is you get the exact same slope no matter what 2 points you pick, because in the end we're going to simplify our slope and it will result in the same answer. Okay, so let's try another one. So you're going to go ahead and pick any 2 points where it intersects very nicely and clearly. So I'm going to pick those 2 points there. And I'm going to start here. And if I start here, I'm going to rise 1. And then I'm going to run 1, 2, 3. And then if I was snowboarding from the left to the right, it's going up. So we get a positive 1/3 slope. And again, I'm going to model again. I'm going to pick 2 different points just to show you with another problem. If I pick this point here and this point here, I would rise 1, 2, 3. And then we would run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And 3/9 simplifies to, if we divide them both by 3, it simplifies to 1/3. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and pick 2 points. So I'm going to go with this one and this one. And I'm going to rise 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to run 1, 2, 3. And 3 divided by 3 is 1. Then we're going to look at the graph. From the left to the right, we would be going upward. So that tells us the slope is +1. So go ahead and pick 2 points. And then we're going to rise. I'm going to rise 1, 2, 3. And we're going to run once. And 3 divided by 1 is 3. And then if we go from the left to the right, we would be going down. So the slope is -3. Okay, here there's no work to be done because any horizontal line, all horizontal lines, if we think about that snowboarder, if the snowboarder goes from the left to the right, he's just walking across, nothing's happening, so that means slope of 0. And again, another way to show that is if you pick 2 points, you don't need to rise, but you need to run 3, and 0 divided by 3 is 0. So we could always back up our answer using mathematically. Okay, here when I look at this, I think about my mnemonic. The snowboarder would be going down, hit the snow, go under the snow, and never be found. So that helps me remember that the slope of this one is undefined. Now mathematically, I could pick 2 points like those two, and I would have to rise 2, and then I run. I don't have to go left, I don't have to go right, so 0, and 2 divided by 0 is what we call undefined. When the 0 is under, it's undefined. Okay, so now I have included some extra examples. Ideally, I'd love for you to pause this recording, try to figure out the slope, then push play. So go ahead and pause and try this problem. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and pick 2 points and rise 1, 2, 3 and run 1. 3 divided by 1 is 3, and if we went from the left to the right, we're going up, so +3. Again, pause the video, try it on your own, and then push play. I'm going to go ahead and pick this point and this point, and I would rise 1 and run 2. And then from the left to the right, we're going up, so the slope is +1/2. Okay, go ahead and pause the video, try this next problem. We're going to go ahead and pick 2 points. And we're going to rise 1, 2. And we're going to run 1. And 2 divided by 1 is 2. And then from the left to the right, we're going up. So we get a +2. Okay, go ahead and pause the video. Try this problem on your own. Okay, I picked 2 points. I'm going to rise 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm going to run 1, 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. And from the left to the right, we're going up. So we get a +3. Okay, automatically, when I look at this line, I'm thinking of the snowboarder. He would go straight down, hit the snow, go under the ground, and never be found. And that is how I remember that this one is undefined. Or, again, pick 2 points. You would have to rise 3, run 0, and when the 0 is under, it's undefined. So several different ways to remember vertical line is undefined slope.